Fred has a number.
I'll go.
Three. I'll go or after go? Or 1, 2, 3. One, two, three, and then do it. Then do it.
How do you do?
After 3. No, on 3. After 3.
1, 2,
You said
3.
go and then go.
3 and then go.
Yeah. You closer.
You twist
Okay,
it.
not that is okay.
1, 2, 3.
My name is Gabriela Rios. I am 21 weeks pregnant. It's made it difficult, very, very difficult. I'm gonna be honest, it showed a lot in my grades, but thankfully I only have 2 in-person classes. And in those classes, both professors are very understanding. I've been blessed in that way. I'm a child development major, so they fully understand. My medical history is insane. I had a softball-sized tumor on my right ovary. Had to get both of those removed. And so when that happened, they did find out that the tumor was cancerous, because it was always my dream to be a mom. I feel like I had an idea. It didn't hit me until I was actually experiencing it. But it does make it very difficult, very hard mentally and physically. So trying to keep up with all that homework while feeling like absolute garbage, sometimes it just doesn't get done. I was blessed with such a supportive boss and work environment that anytime I'm not feeling good or just kind of need a day, or I need to miss because of appointments, or if I need to rest for a week, like last week I had to super understand, I just say the word, okay, you know what, do what you gotta do, we're here. So I found out New Year's Eve, and I'm the type of person that's okay, I would rather, I like peace of mind. So I took a pregnancy test. My roommate Alyssa's asleep, and in my head I'm it's gonna be negative, it's gonna be negative, because anytime I've ever taken one, always negative. So I flip it over, and it's positive.
I was kind of just what's going on? Because Gabby knocked on my door, just like Alyssa, I need to talk to you. And she told me I think I'm pregnant, and I was like, nah, you're not pregnant, you know what I mean? We had just gotten off of October, Halloween, and now she was just she had just had her 21st birthday, and now she's oh, I'm pregnant, and I was like, I don't know if you're pregnant, it's just probably a false positive. And then she showed me the first test, and then I told her, well, you need to get 6 or 8 tests and make sure that it came back. And she took 6 or 7 of them, and she showed them all to me, and yeah, she was pregnant.
As soon as I found out I was pregnant, if I have to do it alone, I'm gonna do it alone. But I knew with Enzo, with Lorenzo, he's not that type of man. I know him, he's gonna step up.
I was terrified. My first reaction was fear. When she first told me, she brought me into the room and she was surprised, had the pregnancy test on the table and everything, and I was like,
oh my gosh, okay, finally get to tell him. I was really excited. In my head, I expected the super cute, you see on YouTube, you see on TikTok, oh my god, the crying and everything. So he opens it, he looks at it, he's for real?
I was just in shock. I was just standing there just scared. All the negative thoughts, well, not negative, but all the fears I had about having a child this young were racing through my mind immediately, right? Everything was just racing through my mind all at once, and I wasn't able to really enjoy the joy of the moment. But later on, we ended up talking about it later that night, and it was a happy moment. But in that moment, it was scary. It really was.
Me and Lorenzo have been blessed with very supportive families. I know not everyone gets that. My family is very supportive, especially my mom. She's a little too excited about it.
And we wanted to tell her family first, because she really wanted to tell her mom at the least. That way she could have that support system. Her mom's a very important role in her life. So we did that. I was kind of scared because I was oh crap, how's her mom going to respond? We're not married or anything, right? But they're very supportive. Her siblings especially were super excited to be an aunt and uncle for the first time. They were super hyped about it. My parents, didn't even care, if I'm being honest. We told my parents, I was over here terrified, to tell them, oh crap, what are they going to think? We told them, they're just kind of oh, okay, cool, another grandchild, because I'm the baby, I'm the youngest. All my siblings are way older than me and have grandkids already. And they all had grandkids, or kids when they were young themselves, so my parents were just kind of okay, cool, whatever. And I was oh, I was over here freaking out for what?
He's the youngest, and each of his siblings have had children as teenagers, so it's a little late in the game compared to them. So they were lucky enough to open their home with open arms and say, hey, we're gonna have an extra room. You're more than welcome to stay here as long as you guys need to save up or anything. So the plan is now, as soon as school is over for this year, the semester's done, we're gonna move back. I'm gonna move in with Lorenzo in Hanford. We're gonna stay there for, we're hoping max a year, but it might be a little bit longer. We're giving ourselves a lot of grace.
It's something that we've talked about before, and I could see the joy in her eyes, the joy in her face, because for a while we weren't sure if we were going to be able to have kids. It was a whole thing. Like, she has her own situation going on within herself, and it was always a question of whether or not we'd be able to have a kid in the future.
I knew not going through pregnancy was not for me, just because it was more of like, this can be my, like, what if this is my only chance?
So finding this out, like, it was like, oh, like, it was just an extra surprise on top of like sure, like, having a kid, like, oh crap, but it's like, she wasn't supposed to be allowed to get pregnant, like, with how her body is, like, so it's kind of like a miracle in a way, if you really think about it. I'm at the point now where I'm just kind of excited about it. Like, early on, like I already mentioned, like, I was freaking out, like, for trying to figure everything out. But now that everything's figured out, now that there's answers to all the questions I had, now that it's kind of settled and I'm kind of seeing things more clearly now, like, it's just a super exciting experience, and I just can't wait to hold he or she in my arms and just kind of, you know, be like, wow, this is like my child.
I am honestly looking forward to the nursery, and honestly just meeting Bean, meeting the baby. In my culture, we're supposed to have a dream where you have the dream, and it's basically like, oh, you know what you're gonna have after that dream. I never got anything. I didn't get a dream. We tried all the wives' tales, all of them split down the middle, so I absolutely have no idea.
So chances are it's gonna be a girl, so I'm expecting a girl, to be honest.
So I've been team girl since the very beginning. For some reason, like, when Gabby first told me, like, what flashed in my mind was just a baby girl. Call it my intuition, but, like, ever since then, I've just only, like, envisioned Gabby as a girl mom, and I'm almost 100% sure it's gonna be a girl.
Oh, a 3 and then go. Yeah. You hold her. Okay. 1, 2, 3.